Now, let's take a look at the illustration, a strategy closely related to the example. In fact, the illustration is one example developed in detail. It is usually a story which may take the form of a personal experience, an allegory, an anecdote, a parable, or a fable. The illustration allows you to give your reader a clear mental picture of the characters, the setting, and the action. An illustration can be real or fictitious, serious or humorous. The important thing to remember is that, just like the example, the illustration must be completely relevant to the thesis statement you've chosen. Good examples of illustrations are the parables found in the New Testament, or the famous fables written by Aesop and Jean de La Fontaine. Consider this. I used to wonder how I could recognize true friends from false ones. Well, the answer came on its own a few years ago. I was working as an English teacher at the Havana University in Cuba. I lived in a furnished apartment provided by my employer. As a foreigner in a communist country, I had access to many goods and services not easily available. My house was always full of people who shared the meals, the comfort, and the numerous privileges I enjoyed. I had more friends than I could cope with. One day, an administrative imbroglio, quite frequent in this socialist society, left me without housing. I was at a loss, trying desperately to find temporary accommodation with friends. But, to my great surprise, all the doors were closed. Mary was out of town, Henry had family coming from the country, George was nowhere to be found, and Linda was sick. I was about to give up when the doorbell rang. I opened, and there was Frank, offering me his home. I had never seen him at my table or parties, but there he was, a true friend, ready to help. As the adage goes, a friend in need is a friend indeed. Now let's move on to the next strategies: facts, statistics, and reasons. These paragraph development strategies can be used alone or in combination to support and clarify the topic sentence in your paragraph. But first, let's define each term. A fact is a piece of information with objective reality. The important words here are information and objective. When you decide to use facts to support your central idea, the reader has the right to expect the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. This is not fiction. It is real. Consider this. Remote surgery is a hot new area of telemedicine, broadly defined as the use of electronic signals to transfer medical information over phone wires, satellites, or state-of-the-art video conferencing systems. The US military is spending millions to develop what it calls telepresence surgery, to put world-class expertise on the front lines where without immediate surgery, as many as 50% of wounded soldiers simply bleed to death. The facts presented in this example give us straightforward information about telemedicine, a new technique about to revolutionize modern medicine. The figures offered in the short text, as many as 50% of wounded soldiers would bleed to death, are statistics, or shall we say, numerical facts. Statistics can offer an excellent means of clarification and support. However, to do this, they must be used effectively. That is, they must be interesting and meaningful. There are two ways to deal with statistics in a text. First, you can use statistics visually with charts, tables, graphs, or pictures. These visual supports will usually help the reader understand what is presented, as long as they are simple, well-structured, and clear. The second way to deal with statistics is with words. If you decide to use statistics to develop your paragraph, make sure they are stated in terms that will correspond to your reader's interest and experience. If you cannot use charts or graphs, present your statistics so that your reader can form a mental image. Don't be afraid to use strong terms. Be dramatic. This way your readers will remember the figures you are presenting. Another point to remember when using statistics is to round off your numbers. Instead of saying that Canada's population is 28,153,000, round it off to about 28 million. It's much easier to remember. One last word about statistics. When possible, you should document your statistics. Avoid vague phrases as recent studies indicate or the last survey shows. Instead, give your source and indicate clearly when and by whom the statistics were compiled. Finally, let's define the third strategy, reason. A reason is a statement offered as a logical explanation or justification. It is usually brought on by expressions such as because, for that reason, for, since, and as. Consider this example where the writer uses facts, statistics, and reasons to prove that welfare recipients are not lazy people who don't want to work. According to the Department of Health, Education and Welfare, 64% of the people on welfare are incapable of working, mostly because of age. 34% of people on welfare are under 14 years of age, 18% are 65 years or older, 5% are disabled, and 7% are in school, aged 14 or older. Of the remaining 36%, 24% work and 12% do not. Of these 12% who do not work, 11% are women. And they do not work because the vast majority are at home caring for young children, which, by the way, is work, but that is another issue. Thus, only 1.4% of all those on welfare are able-bodied, unemployed males, many of them lacking skills or living in areas of high unemployment. This brings us to the end of today's presentation. The 5 development strategies we examined today, examples, illustrations, facts, statistics, and reasons, allow you to write effective paragraphs, giving your reader a vivid image of the subject you've chosen to explore.